So what does it feel like to be depressed? Now I wanted to create this video because if just one of you can relate to this, and if this helps just one of you, then I'll be happy, because there aren't enough videos in relation to depression and mental health still. And it's important that we talk about it. And what I did recently is I put in the free Facebook group, which you can join in the link below. What does it feel like to be depressed? I shared my personal experience, which I'm going to be sharing with you in this video today. And then there was a few guys that shared their experience too. In fact, I think there was over 20 men that shared their experience in terms of depression. And that really is unheard of. Imagine being in a bar and these 20 guys sharing their experience of depression. It really is unheard of. So what I want to do is I want to share my personal experience about depression, what it feels like, and also how I overcame it. And then I'm going to share some of the examples that these guys gave. So for me, when I was suffering with depression, this was probably just after I lost my dad. This was around 8 years ago now, probably leading up to, I suffered with a good few years, but I didn't really realize that I had depression. I was just very tired. I wasn't feeling very happy. And more importantly, I just didn't deal with the fact that I lost my dad. And for me, depression was just like sitting in a dark room. Imagine a dark room with no windows and you've got space. But then what happens is when you fall deeper and deeper into depression, those walls are closing in. And what's happening is when those walls are closing in, it's harder to move and it's harder to get out of it. Now, anything can kind of trigger those walls to move inwards. And sometimes you feel like there's just no space. There's no space to move. There's no potential way that you're going to get out of it. And I remember the way that I started to overcome it, and I shared this in a previous video, is I just started to do more and more positive things. Small little habits, small little things that started to make me feel good. And then what happened is obviously that wall started to move out and move out and move out. And you started to see a little bit more hope. Now there's still days, of course, where the walls kind of came in on me again. But again, I then started to increase more feelings of positivity and started to do more things. And then obviously the walls start to move outwards and it gives you more space and more space to breathe. So for me, that is what depression felt like. When you're sitting there in the corner in the dark room and the walls are so close to you that you can't move, it really is a hard place to be in. But by doing the right things, those walls are going to move and you're going to have space to obviously move out of it and feel a lot better. So I want to share some more examples, and you may be able to relate to these a little bit more than my example. But the reason why I'm doing this is because if you're feeling depressed right now, you need to understand that everyone or a lot of people have been in the situation that you've been in already. Here's an example. Pat said, "It feels like walking with concrete feet you have put on instead of shoes." Another one said, "To me, depression is as if I'm standing on the world's tallest and narrowest pedestal while wearing a hood over my head, unable to see. Whatever I do will make me fall and millions of people below point up at me laughing." So that example is probably someone who's fearing judgment. So you can see the difference in examples from mine to those two. Kevin says he's dealt with it for the last 11 years. It gets better and gets worse. It never truly goes away because it's always lurking, waiting for an opportunity to push back into the forefront. The worst is the dark thoughts. How would the world be better if I wasn't here? Would my family be better off without me? These questions loom daily, but I do what I have to do to get by. So that was a very brave share by Kevin, and I replied to him. And again, I did a video on this before because I lost my dad to suicide, and really understanding why he did it was the reason why I created that video. And for me, it was all about finding small bits of hope. If you can find hope, you're going to feel a lot better, and you're going to understand that you are so worthy. You need to just, you have so much going for you. Life is such a gift, but it's also understanding that. So yeah, like I said, I've done a video on that before. Mark said, "The dark shadow. I'm just shaking a slight one off now. There's no quick fix. I have to wait for it to fade over time, but I can literally feel it close in like a shadow and cover me. I know it will lift in time, but even if I get brief respite, it still has to follow its course." So similar to my example, it's that feeling of really not knowing when these walls are going to move. But obviously you have to put these things in place to be able to remove that shadow. Ross, kind of like a black thick substance in your stomach and chest. Sometimes there's not much to it and sometimes it can feel heavy, but it's never completely gone. Will actually posted and then deleted the post. Fear of judgment, I guess. I think he was going to be the first to comment, but then obviously as more and more people started to share, he wanted to share. And that's the whole thing with depression and mental health. The more we talk, the better it's going to be. The worst bit for me is knowing that if I went outside for a walk or knocked on a flatmate's door and just had a chat, it would start to feel a little bit better. But I can't always do it. I just can't move from where I am. I feel empty and that people don't like me or I'll be judged. Like everyone and everything is against me. And that for me I can relate to, because I felt a fear of judgment. I felt like people were always judging what I was doing. I wasn't worthy enough. I wasn't as good as other people. I compared myself to others. So that really is something that I can relate to, and something maybe you can relate to. And then the final one, a chain of events finally sunk me. It was too much to take, and that saw me pull the covers over my head and lay there for over 2 weeks. I only got up to eat and shit. It was like having had a stroke and not being able to see or respond to people. Now this video is a little bit different from obviously all of my other videos, but it's something that's more important than anything that I'll ever share. As men, we need to talk more. I was blown away at the response of that post that I put in the Facebook group. The amount of guys that shared their personal experience and what they were going through, and they had support from that, I'm sure that made them feel better. For me, when I was depressed, I completely ignored it, and it got worse, it got worse, it got worse. You get deeper and you get deeper. So you need to talk. You need to deal with it. This video is more about just sharing an experience of mine and also sharing other people's experience. But you need to understand right now at the end of this video that if you're feeling depressed right now, if you're suffering with depression, it's okay. People have been there. That's just a small example. There are so many other people out there that have suffered with depression and have been in the situation that you're in. There is nothing wrong with you. It's okay. It's natural. Mental health is the same as physical health. But more importantly, you need to deal with it. Don't let it get worse and worse and worse, because it's going to be harder to get rid of it. So depression, it's fine to talk about. Make sure you handle it. There's some other videos that I'll link up to in the description below. If you want to join that Facebook group, you're more than welcome to join in. You can share your experience too. If you want to share your experience in the comments, I'll try and reply to every single one as well. This is something very, very close to my heart, so I'll reply to all of you if you share your experience. If you enjoyed it, let me know, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.